out to regular folks. And he approached fundraising from the notion that $23 meant just as much as $2,300. And as a result of his fundraising approach, he has changed the face of political fundraising forever. Because of your hard effort, your work, your belief, your faith, your ability to reach into your pockets, Barack has raised millions and has been able to compete. But once he raised all that money and proved that he could raise the money, then they said, well, money's not important. To outmatch a political dynasty that had been building relationships throughout this country for decades. At least until he started building that organization with regular folks. Thanks to many of you who came out to volunteer by the thousands. And not just young people, although young people have taken the lead in a phenomenal way. But Barack built strong organizations in all of the early states, laying a foundation of grassroots organizing that presidential politics has not seen in a long time. So he built this phenomenal organization, and once he built it, they said, well, it's not organization. That's